Well, greetings there. We have been expecting you. Yes, the noodle and I have been expecting you. I realized that that's his tail. There he is. There's the noodle. So Illumi is going to keep me distracted while I attempt to give you guys a tour of this. Okay, you're on a tripod right now. Let me fetch you and we shall begin. Hee hee hee. Okay. Let me get the dramatic chair reveal out of the way. And let me also say, welcome to the Microverse. Okay. Okay, let me... Yes, now we have chat up and running, so you guys can ask me questions all you want as I give you a tank by tank tour. This is the Archibald. You spin me right around. Mikey, I love it. This is the Archibald Farticle, our terrarium supervisor. He will also be distracting us with borks and alerts and such things. Okay, so I'm thinking we can start here and then move along because there's so much to cover in this little section here, and then we can move along there. So yeah, I will spin you right round. I will also use the hand upon which Illumi is perched in order to do most of the things. Let's see how long I can keep this up. So initially, let me say, I was going to sort of do a video, a fully edited video of, like, you know, this. But for some odd reason, my CapCut, the program I use for editing, has decided that I need to pay to edit. So while I figure that out, I'm going to give you a live tour. Okay, let's start here. And you're lucky because it's all foggy and mystical. Ooh. So this is, I want to say, see, I'm conflicted. This is the new nation of Crustacea because of the crab. I don't know if you can see the crab, but he's right there. They're very skittish, and I don't want to move suddenly and then have him, like, how long do I fog the enclosure? So this one runs for 30 minutes every 2 hours. But I adjust based on sort of the amount of fog that lets out. So this one gets heavily fogged because crustaceans. And Trefor Belmont of House Belmont, that's the one right there. He gets fogged a little bit, not as much as this. And then I have one just running in the room for ambient humidity. Yeah, okay. So, wait, I want to give you a look at this little crab. I don't know if you can see the red thing right there. Managing Illumi and doing this is hard work, especially when Archie's right there. But okay, you gotta. Yeah, and the crab disappeared, of course, as is tradition. You can see him right here. Yeah, the one surviving overlord. So this guy decided to go commando and kill all the other 5 crabs that were in this enclosure. Yeah, just to dissipate the mist here, we have the floating mountains, which I don't recall seeing anyone doing it quite in this style. I'll show you a little bit of the skeletal system later on. But yeah, we have 3 floating mountains. They were 5. There was one by the lip of the river here that fell over, and there was one glued right here. Oh, I guess you can see the remnants, which was also toppled. I'm perfecting the technique, and yeah, we move from there. Okay. You guys have any questions about the ancient, not the ancient, the new, I guess, nation of Crustacea? This is the water side here. This used to be full of shrimp, but they don't like the same parameters as the crabbies. Hold on. Yeah, I'm just getting a little pop socket here so that I can, yeah. Hi. So that I can actually hold you properly. Illumi went into the robe. Okay, I guess it'll make it easier. So, next up is the Guild of Gaconia, which honestly has kind of looked better. Let me... what did Gandalf say? Let me risk a little more light. Oh, there we go. Okay, Gaconia is actually doing fantastic in the upper region here. The Phetonias are doing great. This one, I forgot what it was called, but these veins turn red as it matures. Peacock Slaginella, deranged as usual, giving us some nice blue hues here. And yeah, I'm not sure what's going on with the crocodile fern baby that I put here, but I don't think it's getting enough light. I also peppered a bunch of Slaginella down there, just because why not a sea of blue, you know? The bromeliad is doing fantastic. It had a baby that I snipped, and I'll show you later. But yeah, mosses are mossing in some areas more than others, because I don't want to keep the humidity too high for Illumi here. Illumi's on my hand. For Trefor Belmont of House Belmont. And yeah, we have a little dry side. We have a humid side, which is where I set up the fogger. The Greater Guild of Gaconia. I assume if you guys have any questions, you just let me know right away, and I'll do my best to answer. I'm pretty sure the live chat is always visible. Yeah, I see you. Okay, so this is the Republic of Pedokia, from whence Illumi comes. Yeah, he's doing a thing right now. I believe his head is right here. Yeah. So this is his home. It's a 36-inch long, but it is too small, yes, too small for a ball python, especially for him because he is super active, and as you can tell by the destroyed background, he has been around. Now this used to be covered in gorgeous Ficus pumila, the main tree. You can like kind of see it right here. Unfortunately, whenever I move this tank from one room to the other, or when I moved apartments, the ficus takes a hit. It takes a pretty severe hit. So yeah, I'm hoping it'll bust back, but yeah, I'm also hoping to upgrade this guy to a 4-foot. Moving down here. This is the tragic tale of the kingdom of Amphibia. Ooh, look, is this? Yeah, this is the Frog Johnson, right? We have two fire-bellied toads here, Dwayne the Frog and the Frog Johnson. He. Have I tried Ficus benjamina for the large enclosure? If I'm not mistaken, the benjamina is a like bonsai type ficus, Ooh, you guys, Illumi's doing some adorable stuff here, so I just wait. And snake's fascinating. But yeah, knowing this guy, if I put a Ficus benjamina up here, like with a tree structure, he will uproot it, disroot it, defoliate it, and wreak all manner of havoc upon that plant. Yeah, Rosalind says that's a much more tree plant. I don't think it would climb the same as the pumula. It will not. It would be really nice as like a centerpiece, but ball pythons are how did I put it last time? Bulldozers. They are bulldozers, and they will absolutely demolish anything in their path in terms of live plants. That's why I kind of, after the first iteration, sequestered the plants to just background climbing plants. But yeah, I wish the Benjamina would work. The Benjamina would probably work here in the Greater Guild of Gaconia, home of the Treffer. But again, I think it would be trampled quite consistently. So yeah, keep that in mind if you're considering a Ficus benjamina for your builds. So yeah, back to the nation of Amphibia, where the Frog Johnson resides. The Frog Johnson sounds so bad. There will be no Frog Johnsons in this video, but yeah, I don't know if you noticed, but look at that moss. Look at this moss. Okay, so this I know two things about this moss. The first thing I know is that it's a tropical moss, and the second thing I know is that it doesn't spread like normal mosses or like temperate mosses do. I don't want to show off here between Illumi the assassin and Dwayne the Frog Johnson, though. I don't know. He's kind of coming towards the thing. Buddy, this is not a silkworm, and if so, it would be too big for you. Yeah, I don't know if anyone's seen a frog attempted to eat a snake before, but you're still not going to see it today. But getting back to this moss. So something happened during the move. The nation of Amphibia slipped and it cracked the back pane of glass. Sorry about the angle here. I have to rebalance Illumi. So yeah, the back pane of glass towards there, you can see in the top left corner, it kind of cracked. Hey, Archie. How you doing? It kind of cracked, and the crack goes all the way down the back. Down, unfortunately, to the water area, which is why there is no water currently in the nation of Amphibia. Well, there's some water. I set up the frogs with like a little Tupperware here so they can stay hydrated, but there is no longer a river system / water area. But instead, look. So this moss spreads really interestingly. It's not spores. It kind of shoots out little flecks of itself. So whenever it's disturbed by water or the wrestling frogs over here, it kind of disperses a bunch. I don't want to say spores because they're not spores. They're like little mosslets, if you will. It disperses these little mosslets and they go everywhere. No. So this was actually Illumi's old Republic of Pedokia as a wee little noodle. Thank you, Archie. I did warn you guys, Archie would be distracting us. So yeah, very many distractions today. So yeah, this used to be the ancient Republic, and now, well, after it was the ancient Republic, it became the nation of Crustacea, which we had Borneo vampire crabs in there. and then the crabs got into a war and eventually died off. So this became the new nation of crustacea. Here's a little look at the rainbow vampire crab, the one that killed all the others. But yeah, that's the nation of amphibia in a nutshell. These guys will be getting an upgrade that I'll show you soon, and this will be converted into a vivarium that's like no water system, only substrate for some dart frogs that I was gifted that are currently residing there. Well, the focus didn't help, but yeah. Okay, so down here we have a bunch of prop boxes. The first of which is the glorious oak leaf creeping fig. Look at this. And Begonia thelmea, if I'm not mistaken, is the species of that vine. It kind of took a hit because I trimmed it. But yeah. The other prop box here has some of the Begonia thelmea, which some of it is not doing too well. Some of it is flowering. Flowering sometimes means that it... so the crabs are not communal, Mikey asks. The crabs are communal. The problem mainly is in the females. So the problem mainly is the lack of females. I have found Critter Jungle has a difficult time sexing these crabs and determining which ones of them are male and female. And if you get kind of all male in an area like this, they will go deranged eventually. Sooner or later, they will go deranged and they will start killing each other off. Or that has been my experience, at least. If any of you guys have experienced differently, you let me know in the comments or in the chat, and maybe I can get some tips and tricks from you. But yeah, unfortunately, I have not found them to be the most communal, Mikey. Okay. Yes, can I have this hand? Okay. This is a box that has kind of gone out of control. This is the Paulownia repens, or the trailing watermelon begonia, as it's commonly called. It has gone crazy, and I will be bringing a whole bunch to the Ottawa Expo, which I am vending. So this gives me a chance to let you guys know. So I believe November 15th and 16th, that weekend, there is going to be an expo here in Ottawa, and the Microverse is going to be vending that expo as part of the cult of the plant. Don't be suspicious. It's just plants. But yeah, if you want to come say huzzah or give me a piece of moss to inspect, I guess, come to the Ottawa Expo. It's you should find links to tickets online. Just search Ottawa Pet Expo. It is a plant expo, a reptile expo, and an aquatics expo. There's also like dogs and cats and small mammals like that. I'm not sure if the bird show is going to be there or not, but it tends to be quite the event. So come say hi, come say huzzah, come give me a piece of moss to inspect, and we'll talk about what kind of moss it is and how to best care for it. Or I can give you a piece of moss if like you want, if you're into that sort of stuff. Okay. So the last prop box here that I'm gonna show you, sounded very Canadian-y. Yeah, this is just random mosses. We have strings of turtles here that I've been trying to revive. And this is this is one of the mountains that fell, or was felled, I guess. Some pincushion moss here, that's really nice. But yeah, this was on the lip of the river system, right here. But yeah, unfortunately the crab is in now, and it's virtually impossible to like move them without taking everything apart. I think someone is getting away from me here. Yeah. Nobody. We're not doing under the couch things. We're doing over the couch things. So this is this section. So you will notice there is quite the bit of Slaginella in the nation of Amphibia. Fun story, or should I say story time? Remember vines, you guys? So yeah, story time. This Slaginella was once a small cutting about 1 inch in diameter? No, 1 inch in length that I put in here. It very quickly melted and died, and then burst out into this deranged formation. Right now, it was just sprinkled, and that's why it's kind of looking red. But if we go over here, all of these, Slaginella unicata is the Latin. Not sure if I'm pronouncing that correctly. If we have plant people, let me know if I'm pronouncing that correctly. But yeah, we have here some red that turned blue, some blue that turned purple, and some green that turned blue. I'm not sure if it is the lighting or it is the humidity. These guys have all been under the same lighting so far, and they seem to respond differently. I told you he was going to distract us. Okay. Let me put Illumi back in his republic, and we'll continue the tour. Okay, Baba. There you go. Yeah, trample the plants and have fun. Okay, and now here, this is also a trailing watermelon begonia, I believe, but a very, very different variety. Procrins repens? Is that, Mikey asks, is that part of the acclimation process for the plant colors? So with the Slaginella, again, I'm trying to figure out if it is the lighting or if it is the humidity, right? They seem to respond very well and give a full spectrum when they're under aquarium RGB lights, but when they're under these sort of full spectrum grow lights, they again respond very, very erratically. If you can see this nice little area here, we have blues, we have hues of purple, we have hues of green, and we have hues of red. And I have not been able to determine what is the final form of this plant in terms of coloration. But I do know they spread, and they spread quickly. I'll also be bringing a bunch of these to the Ottawa Expo. So if you want a deranged plant that turns blue/purple, come find me. We will talk at length about this. But yeah, and then here we have some string of frogs, or Ficus pumila crucifolia, which I very, very much enjoy. Rosalind says, I think I might know what the plant is. Pilea kaolin? The silver one here? Yeah. You could be right, Roz. Okay. Okay, so yeah. Pilea kaolin? Let's go with kaolin. My Latin is very good, you will notice. Okay, moving up here, I had some Slaginella in the Triceratops right here, but I kind of forgot about it for a couple of days, and it got all dramatic and shriveled up. But look at this baby here. This is the Aglonema pictum tricolor, one of my absolute favorite plants in terms of foliage. Just the shades of green on a single leaf. That's, look at that. Just look at that. That's good stuff right there. But yeah, here we have a semi-destroyed forest of the ancients, and yeah, this tank has gotten out of hand. It took it about 3 years to get out of hand, but it did get out of hand, and I kind of needed the tree here for a build that I will show you later. for the frogs. And it was time. I was kind of getting bored of it anyway, so it's going to be deconstructed. Again, this is the Slaginella, which I kind of forgot, and then it turned this shade of white/green. What's going on, Dana? Yeah, okay, so I'll take you one step up here to the Halloween build, blah, blah, blah. So yeah, the Halloween build, I don't know if you remember, it was one of my goofier videos. One of you awesome life forms had said that I sounded like a creepy vampire, and then I did the entire video in vampire voice. It is doing great, especially kind of when I see it on camera. But it is a little bit tricky with hydration because it's ventilated here. The top is kind of broken. The begonias that were here were not doing too good, so I removed them. We have one sort of jewel orchid, a smaller variety of Sansevieria, and a string of spades. The moss, if you're wondering, is tangled thread moss, which creates this nice entanglement. Let's go with entanglement on hardscape. Excusez-moi. If you use this moss, waza! So if you use this moss, it will overtake your hardscape. I'm not saying that's a bad thing, but it is something to keep in mind. Moving on. Did you know that likes are free? You shall subscribe. Okay, so moving on here, this was an intact Buddha statue that kind of fell apart due to, I suspect, humidity and dwarf white isopods kind of eating away at any calcium content that is in this cement, and it slowly just kind of fell apart. I like it because it looks like ruins. But yeah, this is also one of the terrariums that needs some TLC. Moving on to some new stuff. I'm going to open this up just because the condensation is crazy. This is a cup of Zen from the video Cup of Zen. It also had a Slaginella on here, but it died off. This is mainly Peruvian liverwort, which is also another variety of tropical, not mosses, they're called bryophytes, the family, but they're very similar. They're kind of cousins. And yeah, it's doing well. Not too bad. Not what I expected, but not too bad. Might redo this one soon. Moving on to these interesting globes. Oh, come on, Wizard of Affection. It's not. We're past that. Okay, so this is that tropical moss that you saw in the nation of Amphibia. I just wanted to do a little kind of Zenscape here with hardscape and only moss. And its its same-sized brother over here is Dragonstone and Peruvian liverwort. Yum, yum, yum. This, I believe, is a variegated variety of philodendron. I just love the patches of white that grow on these. And of course, here we have the most delicate asparagus fern, which I absolutely love in sort of Zen styles. There is a little piece of it, I'm not sure if it's still alive, there is a little piece of asparagus fern back there in the nation of Crustacea. But it's one of these plants that I'm still kind of trying to figure out. Okay, moving on up here. Wait, let me get a stool. Yes, I am a shorter fellow. So, moving on up here, this is the ancient Pandora, the original concept of the floating mountain, right? So it is kind of floating. It's connected to the mainland up here, but that's a bridge formed entirely of sphagnum moss and maybe some of the Slaginella here. But yeah, I recently redid this and added some Fittonia here to give it a pop of color. The water section isn't doing too well. The original idea behind this was to have 3 waterfalls, one coming from this side, one coming from that side, and one dripping down the middle, which was successful for a bit. If you want to scroll all the way down to my YouTubes and find that video, you can find it and see the river systems. But again, it did not hold up long term. Piece of advice: over engineer your water features, because if you do that, it kind of guarantees that nothing goes wrong. So last weekend, we were at the CRBE, the Canadian Reptile Breeders Expo, and we entered the second Terrascape Showdown, which this piece was created on. Yeah, so it's essentially a terrarium scaping competition where we go, they provide us all of the materials, and we get to build a terrarium kind of within one day. It's a very limited time. But yeah, this terrarium won second place. Victor, the person who won the first place prize, made a whole forest in one of these terrariums. These, by the way, are the new Exoterra terrariums. Shout out Exoterra. And they're kind of nice. I like the one big glass piece as opposed to the split glass, like right here. These are the same size. You can see they're just like minor design differences. The bottom here is a little bit shorter. The ventilation is different, and the locking mechanism is kind of a push to lock, and then you lock it from up here, and then to unlock it, you just click this button and push, kind of like old TV stands that had this kind of feature. Moving right along, so this is the grand champion of last year. Again, the Terrascape Showdown. It was my first terrarium competition, and this baby won me the first place prize of that competition. It is doing fantastic, save for the green fantasy fern right up there in the corner. That one is not doing too good. But yeah, it is also due for some TLC. I have been busy. Okay. Before I show you guys the moss farm area and the new build, let's take a gander at the aquatic section over here, starting with the Kingdom of Aquaria. And Kyle of the Green Neon Tetras. Kyle, I believe, is the big guy back there. They're a little bit skittish around the camera. That's why when I move this way, they go that way. And when I move this way, they go that way. Ooh. But yeah, the kingdom is doing fantastic, especially after the redo. The epiphytes right here are doing great. These are all Anubiuses. I believe this is Anubius nana minima. Anubius nana bonsai. And I'm not sure which Anubius this is. I know it's one of the bigger varieties of Anubiuses, and it's kind of creeping out the water. But yeah, the crypts are sort of the main attraction of this, and I like to have a little open area. This, I believe, is Anubius nana pinto, which has the white variegations on the older leaves, if you can see. But I'm not sure what it's waiting for to give me some variegations on the newer leaves. Some more light? I don't know. But yeah, this is the shame. It's not really the shame. It's a failed experiment. So this was the aqua forest of the ancients that very, very quickly got overtaken by algae, as you can see. Yum, yum. I blame the filtration that I chose. This is a teeny tiny, very small filter, and I don't think it's enough to keep water flow going, and thus it became a whole mess of algae. But there's a bunch of Anubiuses in there, and there's a bunch of Bucephalandras in there as well. And yeah, I'm gonna need to take this down very soon. The residents of this are the Celestial Pearl Danios. or I guess Galaxy Razaboras, if you want to be pedestrian about it. Moving down here, this is a build I did not show on the channel because for some reason, some people don't really like aquatic builds, and it's a lot of effort to put these videos together for no one to then go watch them. But yeah, the residents of this are chili razaboras, which I absolutely adore. There were 5, now there are only 2. I will get them more because they like to be in a group. This is a dwarf sword plant, I believe. And these are baby tears, which are taken off quite nicely. And yeah, I am a big fan of, sorry about the glare, but yeah, I'm a big fan of the Sirio stone sort of rock wall that's happening in the background. Moving right along down here, this is my aquatic plant farm. So yeah, a while back, I got this tank for free from like a Facebook group, and I wanted to hoard aquatic plants, and I think, judging by the looks of this, I was very successful. These are baby tears, and I have them all in these little baskets, so I can easily just pick them out and use them in builds. But yeah, baby tears, Anubias nana petite, and Anubias nana pinto right here. We have some Bucephalandra wavy leaf. I'm not sure if these are the correct terms for them or not. And these Bucephalandras turn blue, I believe. Not very good with the Latin names, so you'll have to excuse that. If you can identify something, let me know in the comments so that I don't look like a complete idiot. But I don't mind looking like a complete idiot. Anyway, this is sort of the aquatic section right here. Now, we'll move along to this area, which I am a huge fan of. Okay, so we have a basic Syngonium here. I don't like saying basic. It kind of feels demeaning to the plant. But then we have a dragon alocasia, dragon egg, dragon something, or maybe just dragon. Yeah, I love me some alocasias. This one, the texture on the leaves is just fantastical. Here we have some of the Lego trees. These are not life forms. They are plastic, but I do adore the aesthetics. This was such a fun build. My first live on my birthday, and yeah, it was so much fun. Here we have one of my favorite little crystals or carvings. It's a jade turtle. I like to think it's kind of chasing that little jade pellet. Let's say it's a jade pellet, and that's what jade turtles eat, right? They eat jade pellets. Here we have a Dieffenbachia. I'm not sure what specific variety or cultivar it is. If you know, do let me know in the comments. But yeah, I've been struggling to get this one up and running. And here we have, oh yeah, begonias. So yeah, begonias have become a huge obsession of mine, and I have kind of, okay, I hoarded a bunch of begonia species, and now I kind of have a problem. Or is it a solution? Hey, what's going on, Nat? You are a little bit late, but it's okay. You can go back and watch this stuff later. So yeah, I'll take you this way cube by cube. I do have plans of sort of creating a background to each individual cube. Not entirely sure how I'm going to do that. It's a dramatic plant. I don't recall the name either, but it's so dramatic. Which one? The Dieffenbachia, Dana? Which plant is are you saying is dramatic? Let me know. But yeah, I found a nice like little moss carpet on Temu, and this could play into the backgrounds. Dana says yes, the Dieffenbachia is dramatic. I don't know what it is about it. I've had this little stump here. Look, I had this little stump here. This is also a Dieffenbachia, and it's been like that for I want to say about a year now. I don't know. Some plants are a bit hard to sort of figure out than others, harder. But yeah, let's go through the cubes. So terrarium wise, this is a little Kodama terrarium that I made that is growing in nicely, and is the moss is hiding the Kodamas very well. Big fan of this. Fantastic art piece by Sema has an art. Check them out on Instagram. They have really fantastic pieces. This is a fluorite eagle. Yeah, I'm a big fan of crystals. I'm kind of a hippie like that. But yeah, it's a fluorite eagle. Look at that. Look at the detailing on that. Gorgeous stuff. Gorgeous stuff. And of course, other crystals. This, you will see this maybe peppered around a lot of areas. This is moss agate, said to help plants grow. Excuse me. Is there a moss that would do well on cork tile background in a bioactive enclosure? So here's the thing with cork tile background, the tile itself tends to not have texture, right? I'm going to take you back here. The tile itself tends to not be textured like this. I do have a little piece of cork here. If you're talking about something like this with actual texture, most mosses will do fantastic on that. The only issue is getting the moss to attach to that. So if you don't want to use super glue, what I would recommend is you create a paste of sphagnum moss and aqua soil, or sphagnum moss and Exoterra substratum. You sort of paint it on the back. Let me give you an example here. So even though this is textured, right, I do use this method to sort of darken and give nutrients to the moss that's growing on the walls. I would highly advise you use a similar method to get moss on cork tile backgrounds. But if they're that smooth, sort of like cut, like laser cut cork tile, moss is not going to do so great on that. It does need texture, and it needs a degree of nutrients on the surface that it is growing in order to thrive. Just little piece of advice there for you, Mikey. Okay, moving on to this cube. This is the double bubble terrarium. There's also a build video for this. I have not refurbished this for, I want to say, 2 years, maybe going on 3. Fun with the Dremel. Yeah, you can absolutely texture it with the Dremel, but yeah, texture it first and then create that paste, paint it on the areas you want to grow moss, and then let the moss sort of spread from there. But yeah, over here we have a pink syngonium. We also have a pinkish syngonium. It's pinking. I'm not very good with cultivar names, but I do know they are syngoniums, and I do know they are pink. Here we have a bull carving that I got from India in my travels. It's really nicely detailed, and the artwork on this thing is fantabulous. We have a little geode here of quartz, and of course, moss agate. So this is not actually moss trapped in there. It's called moss agate because it does resemble moss. But yeah, the seclusions, I don't know what these are called when like an element is trapped within crystal. But yeah, these are just different types of elements that give them the shade of green and like sometimes purple, like this guy. Moving on here. So these are the 2 egg terrariums that I created sort of Iwagumi style. I wanted just like flat moss slash hardscape. Just keeping it simple, nothing fancy. Not trying to be not trying to win any competitions with these. Just a little statement piece that would bring a little zen into your space. This is a lapis lazuli pyramid. from back home, from Egypt. Like I said, I love me my crystals. And fun fact, lapis lazuli is why they had blue pigments in Egypt, like in Egyptian paintings and hieroglyphs. Everyone was dumbfounded that they had blue pigment, and this stone is exactly why they had blue pigment. Moving on here to this section, we have a little Buddha terrarium, which is kind of like all condensation. But yeah, the moss here is not doing too well, so it will be due for a switch up very soon. But I have a little amethyst formation around it, as well as, of course, the moss agate. So yeah, you can see the difference between the moss agates here. Here, this one's almost completely translucent, and then here, this one's almost completely purple. Very interesting stuff. We move down here to the third of the bonsais that came in the mini bonsai Lego kit. Loved the build for this, by the way. And a bunch of stones. I forget, labradorite. Labradorite? Yes, labradorite. These are labradorite. The shaman stone, if you will. They do a little sheen there with the light. It is nicer in sunlight, though. But yeah, amethyst, citrine, and more labradorite. Moving on here, I'm not sure if you can see them or not, but yeah, I'll try and get you. Yeah, these are the dart frogs that I was gifted, you guys. These are a trio of Saint Isabella dart frogs, which are kind of the neon tetras of dart frogs. They have this little cream line that shimmers blue whenever they move. So yeah, the journey of these guys transforming from tadpoles is coming your way soon as I figure out the editing thing. Moving on here, this is also another build that was kind of overtaken by algae. We have one resident up here, which is a rocket killifish. That, yeah, she had a mate. The mate passed on, and I'm working on getting her another. Here we have some lace agate, sculpted in the shape of a couple of dolphins breaching and frolicking in the waves. Which again, huge fan. I believe this is Lorimar, or known as the dolphin stone. That's why I keep them close together. And then we have some lace agate here and a bunch of seashells. This is the carnivorous terrarium. The video came out, I want to say, last month. But yeah, it's very weird because ever since I covered it, some of the plants are doing fantastic and some are not doing too well. I think the pingus here require more aeration than some of the other plants, because the ones in the back here have kind of died off except for their offspring. And yeah, the bladderworts in the back there. What was the Latin name again? Utricularia. Yeah, the utricularia are doing great. I've also heard these are semi-aquatic, so I'll be performing mad science to see if I can convert words. If I can convert some of them to be in like an aquatic setting. The rest is kind of darkened out. We have a couple of aquariums here. These are a future build. Stay tuned for stuff like that. Here we just have some art, my guitar, the harmonicas, and miscellaneous items. But yeah, moving on this way. So this is a high humidity plant nursery. I have, oh, this one's coming along nicely. So again, the begonia obsession continues. So begonia rex, begonia rex, begonia rex. This is the baby of this one, of this bromeliad in the Greater Guild of Gaconia. So yeah, it had a baby. It was mushed up against the glass, so I decided to repot it and make more. We have some silver lace ferns. This is an epiphytic orchid, Lockhartia, something. Yeah, like hearty or something. Archie, can you not? It's okay. It's okay. People exist. I know it sucks that they do, but they exist. It's okay. You are safe, my friend. So, yeah, we have a bunch of ferns here, including the bird's nest fern that used to reside in the nation, in the, sorry, guild of Gaconia. We have some silver lace ferns, green fantasy fern. This is a very interesting Hoya that I picked up. Archie's correcting my Latin. Yes, this is actually pronounced bruff bruff. The official Latin name is the bruff bruff. I love it. But yeah, back there next to the Hoya, we have some teeny tiny crocodile ferns. We have a big crocodile fern here, a variegated philodendron right there in the middle, and this guy, which I got from Understory Enterprise. Let me get you the name here. Oh, it's a Begonia SP white spot. I guess it's just, yeah. Whenever people get confused or don't know what what cultivar something is, they just go SP. It's species, Begonia species. Speaking of Begonia species, okay. Here is where the obsession continues still. First of all, shout out to my Monstera constellation that is coming up with a really new and awesome leaf. I can already see that it's fenestrated in some areas. If you don't know what fenestrations are, they are these little gaps that the leaves produce. But yeah, you guys remember when Thai constellations were like $1,000 a cutting? Yeah, I got this one from the Ottawa Expo for 20 bucks. But yeah, it's gonna go crazy soon, hopefully. Okay, here we have a begonia, I believe Magnifica. This guy, yeah, I was gifted this yesterday. If you don't know, the Microverse has a little display area at Richie's Feed and Seed, uh, and yeah, if I go and they were gonna check out some plants, they kind of give them to me instead to care for them. And this guy was not doing too well, or it wasn't looking as attractive as it could be. So yeah, Courtney, the assistant manager, was like, "Do you want it?" And I'm like, "Oh yeah, subscribe to that, please." Only later did I find out it was a begonia. I was also gifted a begonia red kiss again, and this one is Begonia Rex aluminum something, I want to say. I'm not sure. But begonia, 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 begonia. I love it that when you say something enough times, it kind of sounds like nonsense. We have a maiden's hair fern here, which is very delicate looking, but yeah, it can get deranged. A button fern and a green fantasy fern. Of course, the spider plant. If you have spider plants, switch them to semi-hydro because they like the roots to be always in contact with humidity. And that's why it's kind of popping back up and doing great. So, this area here, I'm going to take you first to the build. Begonias! So, this is going to be the new nation of Amphibia. It's going to be set up with two waterfalls, one here from behind the tree. This is why I had to disassemble the tree from the ancient, the forest of the ancients. Yeah, the first river system is coming down from behind this tree here, dripping on here. Water tests have been performed. It looks really nice. And the other one is going to be coming from here, going down there. This is still in progress because for some reason IKEA doesn't have Leica balls anymore. I guess they're not in season because we're getting into fall. But yeah, I need Leica to create the false bottom right here. We have a couple of sumps that are hidden right there, and one that is hidden right here. Full build is gonna come towards you eventually, I guess. But yeah, welcome to the Moss Magic Mountain. Magic Moss Mountain? Welcome to magical moss type situations. These are my moss growing bins slash farms. So if you want, I'll give you a tour of all of them. This is the fantabulous fern moss. This was collected on a hike and is growing really, really nicely. This, well, yeah, there's the, what did Rosalind say it was? Pilea something, right? These cuttings were dying and I thought I'd save them, but here is mainly pincushion moss. Pincushion moss. You will get the odd little fungus patch right there. That's why I always use springtails, just to keep that stuff in check. And here we have some sphagnum moss, some really, really nice majestical sphagnum moss that may or may not turn red at some point. We shall see. Down here yonder, this is silver moss, which, I don't know, you can kind of see silver hues here, but this is star moss, which is one of my favorite textured mosses. I just love the little star-shaped clumps that they make. Okay, moving to this section, we have some fern moss, and we have a very special kind of moss that I never really had luck propagating in the past. This is called tree moss. And it's called tree moss because each clump sort of forms an individual tree that kind of looks like palm trees, not your palm. Okay, this section got overtaken by fungus and I had to reboot it, but it was mainly tangled thread moss. And there's a little begonia propagation right here. Speaking of begonia propagations, holy begonias, Batman. Okay, so you see all of this side? It's called strawberry begonia. And it's called strawberry begonia because here is the mother plant, right? It produces these little strawberries, audible quotation marks, which are essentially little mini versions of itself. It sends runners and then it gets deranged. So all of this, right, strawberry begonia came from that one plant. So here's the best thing about begonias. Here's the best thing about begonias, you guys. Okay, so let's say, for example, I wanted to propagate a begonia, whichever begonia. What you would do is you would take a leaf, a healthy or mildly healthy leaf, and then you just, from the stalk here, you just pull it, right? Let's say this, and then you just dip this either in water or in substrate. It'll take a couple of weeks, but then afterwards, look at this. It's a fully fledged begonia plant. Well, maybe not fully fledged, but it's mildly fledged begonia. Like, yeah. And all of these are propagated from cuttings. These two, propagated from leaves. These three, propagated from leaves. So yeah, begonias are quite the thing, and I'm getting very, very obsessed with the begonia family. I hope this doesn't escalate. Actually, I hope it does. Here I have some terrestrialized pearl moss. So pearl moss is an aquatic moss that... Wait, I'll show you. You can see here, this is the pearl moss, right up there. And yeah, mosses, if you have good enough humidity, they'll propagate like crazy. What type of water do you use to propagate the new cuttings? Tap water. Honestly, I use tap water. I just dechlorinate everything. So excuse the sniffles, it's allergy season. So either use ReptiSafe or even better, where is it? Yes, right here. Prime. So yeah, Seachem Prime is for like aquatics to condition water, and I found it to be the best. I never water any houseplants or mosses with water straight from the tap. just use a dechlorinator. I'm not sure where exactly you are, Mikey. Your water could be a bit different because that happens. The water here in Ottawa is not super hard, so it's not that bad. But yeah, you can terrestrialize aquatic mosses, and I'm working on aquaticizing terrestrial mosses. However you put that, getting terrestrial mosses to grow underwater is the thing I wanted to say. Okay. So here next to it, I have also some begonias, yeah, because why not? This teeny guy is the black mamba begonia that was in the Halloween terrarium. Like I said, they weren't doing too good. And yeah, next to it is the red kiss begonia, which I'm a huge fan of. This one is not very red kissy, but it should eventually end up kind of with this bloodshot color, because that's what it looked like in the beginning. Next here, okay. So this is all the tropicals: Peruvian liverwort, and so it's really hard to sequester mosses and get them not to grow on each other, because they don't care. But interspersed between the Peruvian liverwort is the tropical moss, the unidentified tropical moss that you guys saw in the nation of Amphibia. Moving on down here, we have a really nice prop box of badge moss. Mikey says he's in Mississauga, uses 2-stage filter. Yeah, that should help with the water. I wouldn't use the tap water directly. I would use filter water and then dechlorinate it, just to be safe. And then you should have thriving, awesome mosses like this. Okay, this is string moss that's not really doing too well. It was doing really well, and then for some reason, not for some reason, I forgot to water it for some time. Abby, come on. Sorry, I had to call myself out there. Moving on. This is sphagnum moss. Yeah, it's a different variety of sphagnum moss than the one up there. You'll notice this one is like super pale, even when it's like almost drenched. And we have a little variety here that I picked up also on a hike. If we go to this section, so yeah, yesterday I had to go to Richie's and redo some terrariums because they weren't doing so well. So I just put a bunch of Slaginella in here just to do that. But this is the Hypnum moss culture. Love the way Hypnum moss is like fluffy and feathery and kind of reaches out. It is also the predominant moss in the Grand Champion Terrarium. Yeah, all of this I believe is a type of Hypnum moss. But yeah, moving from here to here, this is a story I have not told or shared on the channel. I'm kind of behind on a lot of stuff and life's been crazy, but this guy is a sand boa, a Kenyan sand boa to be specific. Kenyan sand boas were the first pet snake that I've ever had. I'm not sure if we're going to be able to get her out here. Hey, why not? How often do I go live? Let's get September out here. So yeah, her name is September. She was sort of given up to me by someone who was having trouble with her shedding. She had a stuck shed on her eye cap. She had a stuck shed on her eye cap, and so yeah, there we go. There she is. Hello. Hi, September. I'm gonna set you down here so I can pick you back up. So yeah, this little baby, I don't know why she's so feisty. Yeah, this poor baby had like a stuck shed on her eye cap and she couldn't see, and it was there for months. A misconception about like sand boas, like a lot of people are like, oh, they can't have humidity or keep them arid. No, all life forms require a degree of hydration, right? So what I did to get her to shed properly was I set up this box with sphagnum moss that I dampen, right? So that it is sequestered from her main area. So humidity is not just there, right? If she would like, she can then go into the box and get some humidity to sort of hygro regulate, if you will. And yeah, lo and behold, she gave me a nice complete shed one of these days, and she's gorgeous. Yeah, September is awesome. Her name is September, and she is adorable. She doesn't have the complete derp face that a lot of these guys do, but yeah, I just love the patterning on Kenyan sand boas. They are they are gorgeous, teeny tiny little noodles. She is a female, so I don't believe this is her fully grown. I'm not sure how big she's gonna get because some of them get like chunky, like they kind of look like udons. If you're a big noodle connoisseur, but yeah, the Kenyan sand boa. So if you have a Kenyan sand boa, please give them a humidity grid. Do not just assume that desert dwelling creatures don't need humidity. It gets cold and it gets humid in the desert early in the morning. So there's dew, there's a whole bunch of stuff early in the morning that they have access to. Not sure if she wants to do the dive. Yeah, do the dive. There we go. Kenyan sand boas are fossorial, which means they burrow. Burrow means they dig and live sort of underground. Sorry to have disturbed you, September. You have been fantastic. People love you. Okay, bye. And look, for some reason, their tails are more textured than the rest of their scales, which I kind of like. It has a very interesting texture to it. Here we have, I believe, a monstera of some sort. I'm not sure as to the specific species. I was gifted this by Theo of Nature State 7, also a member of the Cult of the Plant. Shout out. Theo, I forgot what this plant was. If you're here or you watch this, let me know what it is. Mikey says had a rough scaled sand boa some years ago. Benefit with a slight humid burrow. Yes, thank you. Because in nature, it's not all of the sand is going to be just sand. Sometimes there's going to be water pockets, there's going to be humidity pockets. So you have to keep that in mind, that not just because it's a desert dwelling creature, it doesn't need access to humidity. Essential for their health. But yeah, I'm going to move this stuff. What's going on, Tom? Welcome to my humble abode. So, okay, this is going to be a mild springtail update because, yeah, the reds, the Thai reds that I have made trade for have been going crazy. Look at these guys. Crazy, chunky people. In terms of the diet, so before, I told you guys the hack for springtails, right? Let me just show you how well this hack works. Here are the oranges that are going crazy all over the place. So I used to use fish food, crab cuisine, and a dusting of crested gecko diet to get them to go crazy. But here's the thing. My very, very good friend Dave from Incog Inverts, who is the specialist, created this awesome, awesome diet for springtails and isopods called the pill diet. This for the pill bug. And also it's kind of a humorous reference to like the pill diet from way back in the, I want to say 60s or something, that everyone was going on to lose weight. This stuff is amazing. You already saw how crazy the springtails go for it. They are a bit shy, so they tend to like run away after I open this. But this stuff is really, really good. If you have a chance, check out Incog Inverts. I do believe they have a YouTube channel, so if you want to go give them some love over there, I would greatly appreciate it, because Dave is just fantastic, fantastic person. These are the yellow springtails. Also, by the way, were a gift from Dave. This was a colony of, I want to say, maybe 15, 20 individuals. And now, like, I can't pick up a piece of the soil without having at least 20 or 30 on there. Yeah, no, they have gone crazy. And yeah, the oranges, I have to bang on the top here to get them to just like leave the top. Oranges, same thing. I cannot, there isn't like a singular inch between one and another. They have just exploded. Also, some of the things I will be bringing with me to the Ottawa Pet Expo. So if you're looking for some colorful springtails, you know where to go. Cult of the Plant booth, you will find a Microverse sign. You will probably find the Moss Magic sign on there, and much, much more. So this is the time of live where I will take questions from the audience if you have any specific questions. And then we can wrap it up, because I don't want to waste your entire Sunday. You have stuff to do, and you know, you're human, I guess. If you're not human, greetings. Welcome. Humans sometimes keep other life forms in their homes because they're awesome. But yeah, this has been the Microverse, you guys. It's the entire section here. Veronta Farty, the terrarium supervisor right here. He, by the way, is wearing the llama bandana. I am not going to answer that question, Tom. I am not going to answer that question. You don't know where I am. If you have other non-embarrassing questions that Mike is using this time to not do chores. But yeah, this kind of has been my home. If you want, I'll give you a little sneak peek into the one side of the kitchen, because the other side isn't nice. This is where I keep some plants, including the caladium. Yeah, the caladiums are coming along nicely. And yeah, this is an orchid that I sadly forgot about, and now I've switched it to semi-hydro so that it can stay hydrated without my neurodivergent brain trying to remember every single one of the 80 some odd plants that are in here. Show me your snake. Tom, you have to go back to the very beginning of this video and then watch it all over again, because you're coming at the end, buddy. This is the finale here. But Illumi has hosted the front end. Well, hosted is not really a thing to say. He distracted me while I host. Okay, Richard says, hey there, thanks for showing us your new setup. It's my absolute pleasure, my friend. Will you be selling pre-made terrariums at the expo? Yes, I will. I will be revamping some of these terrariums to bring on for display, but I will be selling a bunch of the jar-style terrariums, and there will be terrarium kits that you can put together yourself. These two orb terrariums, Iwagumi style, are going to be on there for sale. The egg terrariums, these guys, also Iwagumi, are going to be coming with me. And I have a whole bunch of glassware that I've been behind on this stuff, but yes, terrariums will be there. Of course, terrariums will be there. And moss. Lots and lots of moss. Oh, I left that one open. Yeah, see, this is what happens. I leave one open, and then I forget that it's open. And then I'm like, oh no, what's wrong with my moss? Well, you dehydrated, genius. But yeah, my friends, lots of stuff coming your way. And yeah, this is going to be a fantastical new chapter in the microverse. Thanks for tuning in. I love you. Bye.